Hey, this is the Well Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the problem with Andrew Tate. So, when it comes to discussing the problem with Andrew Tate, what I want to discuss is the problem specifically with this thing that he's putting out there, or I should say, ideology that he's putting out there, known as the Red Pill movement. And the problem with the Red Pill movement um, that I have is that, simply put, it's not true. And the reason why it's not true is that it helps promote the belief system that women are negative, evil, manipulative, and just in general not good people. Um, for that matter, the majority of women, for that matter, okay. When it comes to all the messed up things that happen in relationships, there are actually reasons why that happens, which specifically is actually the fault of dating advice that's been put out there for years, whether it could be by so called relationship experts or even society for that matter. And of course, if those dating advices were not put out there, then this whole situation would be a lot different. So let me explain, okay? Because the truth of the matter about dating advice, I have noticed, especially growing up, which at the time I thought it was stupid, and now I think it's clear to everyone that it's stupid, is that a lot of the dating advice they gave back then was toxic. Okay, was just toxic, was just stupid, and toxic and stupid in a sense that encourage you to pretty much kiss ass to the woman. Okay, and encourage you to put up with her when she's taking extremely long times in the store, which could literally last hours. It taught you to put up with them when they're having a really bad day, even when you did nothing wrong. It taught people, men, that it is, you know, you should always pay for them everywhere you go for every little thing. It taught you to do a lot of different things that just in general is not really necessary. And if anything, kind of makes it less likely, that you will catch on to someone who's a toxic person. And of course, secondly, leads up to my main point I'm trying to get across when it comes to the problem of this relationship advice is that it encourages you to be too nice of a person, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to relationship advice, I've noticed that the main theme about it is that they expect you to be overly nice when you're dating women. Be nice, be nice. Don't say anything bad about her. She's gaining weight. Don't say anything. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Always be nice 24/7, Even if she says something bad to you, don't talk back and blah, 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 and all that type of stuff. But in the eyes of women, and not just women, human beings in general, all that really does is just bore people and make people bored, in all honesty. It just, like, for example, let me give an example of what I mean by that. Let's just say you're a guy, okay? And you have male friends, okay, for that matter, okay? Let's just say you had a friend who was always nice 24/7, super nice, gave you everything that um, that you could ever want, for that matter, okay? You know what I can imagine you would probably be thinking if he's nice 24/7 and doesn't do anything, that shows that he's more himself, or just in general, to sum it up, just nice 24/7, you get kind of bored and it kind of gets kind of creepy. Like, you kind of like me, which is nothing wrong with that, but you like me a little bit too much to the point that it's kind of creepy. And when it comes to relationships, the same thing. If you're in a relationship with someone and you are too nice to the woman, it kind of makes them bored and it kind of makes them wonder, like, are you obsessed with me? Are you, like, have any other interests and hobbies aside from thinking about me and all that type of stuff? And that's just that human nature in general, because of course, no human being psychic. So we don't know if you actually are, that type of person or not. So that's why a lot of women do not date nice guys. And I've always heard that argument all the time in relationships. Women always want to date bad men. Women always want to date bad men. Women always want to date bad men. They never want to date nice guys, who actually mean the best for them. But that's the reason why, because they just, because Um, because the nice guys are just overly nice to the point that it just kind of makes them bored and lose interest, for that matter. Okay, so the truth of the matter is, does it mean that you can't be a good person? No. But does it mean that you have to be overly nice? Absolutely not. Do not be overly nice in relationships. And this is common sense because all a relationship is in the end of the day is just a really it's just a best friendship between a man and a woman. You have conversations, you talk about different things, you do things for each other, and this and that in the end of the day. That's all it is. And just like if you have friends, sometimes you joke around with them, sometimes you show that you're not pleased with the situation, and sometimes you question them on things, if anything, for that matter, okay? And that's exactly what I'm talking about. But relationship advice does not teach us to think in that way. It teaches us to think in a way that's stupid and dumb, for that matter, okay? Which just makes it more likely that women will just lose interest and just say, I can't deal with this anymore. Now I want to deal with a guy who's an asshole because it gives me some degree of excitement or something. So, in short, the main problem is with why men are having such problems with women, good men at least, who the majority of the population I'm certain are good people, more likely than not, actually, for that matter, is because of these toxic relationship advice that's been put out there. If they didn't teach you to think in that way, I can guarantee you it would not be as bad as it is today. It's not saying you have to be a dick. It just means just be yourself. Do not go out of your way for someone and spoil someone and kiss someone's ass. And that's exactly what these relationship advice stuff has told us to do. And as a result, that's the reason why a lot of men are having problem dating women. And where Andrew Tate comes in the mix is that Andrew Tate, not that I have a problem with him personally, I don't see anything wrong with him as a person, but obviously he is someone, as well as a lot of people in the whole manosphere red pill movement, are just taking advantage of these things, for that matter, okay, to of course benefit themselves and make a profit off of this way of thinking, which is actually not true and could easily be resolved by using critical thinking, for that matter, okay? And that's exactly why this shit is going on like it is right now. It's because of these bad dating advices we've been given that some of them have literally haven't been updated since like the 1960s. Like, really? And that's exactly what I'm trying to say here, to put it bluntly. So in short, that's why us people are gonna have to be more aware of this type of stuff and not believe everything that you are told. Besides, at the end of the day, do you really want to live in a world where you literally look at half of the population, you feel hatred and anger towards them? Because most of the red pill movement people say, "Oh, I'm done with women, this and that," but when you look at them and what they look at, all they look up as stuff related to the red pill movement. So like what exactly have you moved on from? You always say I just want to live my life by myself and this and that, but at the same time all you do is just look up videos about the red pill movement. So you haven't moved on from thinking about women as much as you claim to have moved on, as you would put out there. And that's what I'm trying to say, and this is what I'm trying to get at here, for that matter, okay? And that's exactly the reason why these things are happening, with these relationships, like the example I gave just earlier, if anything. So to feel like this hatred, animosity towards women is just simply uncalled for and necessary. There's really no need for this hatred, okay, in the end of the day. Besides, if you really look at it in the end of the day, in all honesty, especially when you look at the history of the world and all the stuff that has historically happened, with the world, most things, like, that, that actually exist were created by men anyway. Not to mention the fact that most people in positions of power are men today. Well, specifically on my point about most things are created by men anyway. So in the end of the day, like, what shit can they talk about you anyway? I'm not even trying to be prejudiced here. I'm just speaking honest truth here. So it's not like you have anything to lose by like dealing with women, whether you date them and stuff. Even if they talk shit back to you and talk shit about men, like what can they really say when like 99% of all inventions were created by men anyway? At least if you want to think in that way. But regardless, anyway, the main point of the matter is that, simply put it, Andrew Tate and his way of thinking is simply unnecessary. It is not needed. It's uncalled for. It just makes people more miserable and hateful and full of anger and rage. But it's not something that is genuinely needed. All we need to do is just simply change the dating rules for that matter. And there's a few other things to mention, but this video is only 10 minutes long. But mostly, to sum it up, just be yourself. You just be as nice as you would be, which most people are a mix of nice and just sometimes being, just saying, not so nice. So just be yourself. Just be that. Be in between. Don't try to be super nice. And I can guarantee you, out of the many points, if you do one of those things, this specific thing I was referring to for this video, relationships won't be as bad as they are today. And this is all to say, and I'm out. Bye.